Wait, before you get started, the four things that we need to deal with. You need the Presto skillet, so order that on Amazon first or wherever you get it. The Presto, again, that's the brand I recommend. You're gonna need a big layer of tin foil, okay? Because you want to once you get your skillet, you get your beeswax from a farm, and you get your paint brushes. That's how you start, okay? So you're gonna lay a big old layer of foil out, and then you put your skillet on the foil, okay? You can put the foil on any flat surface where it's safe to have melted wax, or anywhere you would put a skillet. Anyway, you can do this in your kitchen, really. But use foil under the skillet because you're going to be dripping lots of beeswax everywhere. Got your beeswax, you're going to melt it in your pan, and then you got paintbrushes, and that's all we're covering today. If you can just get the wax melted in your skillet, nice and low temperature, not more than 200. Don't go higher than the 200. Don't try to speed melt your wax. Melt slow. Nice and slow. If you see smoke coming out of your wax, you unplug that puppy and get away from there. You don't want smoke. Nice and low. All right. I needed to start this video off with that. And then now we can go talking all the good stuff about all the fun things I was talking about with the video. This, again, it's an evolution. This is, all right, you were evolving into becoming a batik artist. It's not a Anyway, watch the video, okay? So first, before you even get your skillet assembled out of the box, lay it on a nice layer of foil and get your wax and your paint brushes and some practice fabric. Now we got to talk about fabric. That's a whole other video. We'll keep watching, okay? Welcome to today's video. I'm Victoria, and this is my batik studio. Okay, what is batik? Now, most of my viewers are already familiar with me and batik in general. Batik is a fiber art technique that uses wax, molten beeswax. This is someone's actual beeswax that they shipped it to me from their farm. They had a bunch of beehives, and they extracted this and mailed it to me, which I thought was so kind, because she wanted me to use it but I just think it's so cool. I never melted it, but we could melt it. It is pure beeswax. I use pure beeswax. That's something I teach in my workshop. And what I'm doing right now is making a series of videos for new viewers or anyone curious about joining the workshop and learning how to make batik clothing and make it their own way, their own style, and enough where you're good enough to be able to sell it, which is what I do. And I'm sharing with you the knowledge on how to do that. So I just made a couple of videos about some fundamentals, some basics before you even get started, covering big questions like, why can't I get the wax out of my batik? Well, that issue is addressed before you even start making batik. So you got to watch that video. And the other question is, how can I prevent drips from when I'm painting the wax? How do I prevent drips? That's also a huge question that is answered in the other video. And I really go into it because it's important to know the answers to both of those questions. And the first one is the materials, and the second one is you don't. In a nutshell, but you really need to watch the videos. If you don't watch the videos, this video today, I'm going to share with you, is getting started. And I'm going to try to make this as simple and easy as possible without buying all new equipment. This is a Presto skillet, okay? It's a Presto 11-inch skillet. I don't know how much it is now. I think it's like $50. When I used to buy them back in the day, they were like $29, and then they went up to $33, and now I think they're $52. I don't know how much they are, but it's something like that. I use Presto, the brand Presto, because it's very reliable. And this here temperature gauge also has a light indicator and numbers that I can kind of read. Guys, we're going to get into temperature specifically in another video, but what I'm going to tell you here in this one is that I think that the temperature is around, I don't know, 200, but I don't know. I actually have a thing. We'll do this in another video, guys, okay? That's another video. You got to watch all the videos. You can't make batik with one video. You can't make a great batik watching one video. I mean, good if you can. You can't. I learned, I'm self-taught. I learned through library books and trial and error and just, the process. So the Presto skillet is one of the main things you're going to want to get. I like this skillet because it's flat. It's not too big. It's not too small. Yes, you can get skillets too small that aren't as precise in their temperature control. This one has a really nice steady control. So this temperature you set it at is the temperature you're gonna it's gonna work hard to maintain it. And that's really what you need. You need a level temperature regulation. Guys, I'm just gonna tell you real quick. Your temperature is weather dependent, environmentally dependent on it. There's so many factors involved on what temperature to make it, as well as the type of fabric you're working with too. So on another video, I'll see what the temperature is, but it really changes. It's a whole moving parts process thing, nuances. They're nuances, but you just tune into them. This is why my workshop is so essential. You tune into the nuances, and then you just get into the flow of making batiks. My alarm just went off, reminding me how much God loves me. So, all right. Presto skillet. All right. I use pure beeswax. Some people will blend paraffin in with their beeswax. When I first started back in the day, I did that. I blended paraffin and beeswax together because that's what the book said, and et cetera, et cetera. What wound up happening for me was that I would get headaches from that paraffin, being the melted paraffin all the time. Like, it just would give me a headache. I didn't know what was giving me a headache. Something was giving me a headache. Finally realized it was the paraffin. I just can't be around melted paraffin. That's me. Pure beeswax comes from bees. It's natural. It does have a scent. I like it. But I don't get headaches from it. Another reason why I stopped using paraffin, through trial and error, was that paraffin just does not hold up through the process that I do for batik. I use the most traditional methods of batik, where I paint wax freehand, just my own designs onto fabric, dye the entire garment, let that dry, and then I paint a second layer of wax over the new color while retaining the first layer of wax in place. With paraffin, that first layer of wax would just start to break down. It wouldn't hold. Whereas beeswax is naturally stronger, and it just resists better. And it's also I think it's easier to work with in general. So it's a little bit more expensive, but it's more natural, and it's better quality wax. You're working with better quality materials. So I don't cut my wax with any kind of synthetic substitutes. And that's just me. Other people maybe have different results. That's what I teach. That's what I'm very comfortable with. That's what I've been working with for over 3 decades. And I recommend pure, unfiltered beeswax. And yes, I said unfiltered. We don't need fancy wax. We just want I got my wax. I always have from the farm. I would go out to the bee farms and get their unfiltered wax that they had in the bag before they, make it the fancy stuff or candle makers and whatever. I don't get I get the unfiltered. They know what I'm talking. They'll know what you're talking about. It comes in these big slabs, these big chunks. It's cheaper, and they're just ready to sell it to you. So get the unfiltered beeswax from the farm. That's what I recommend. All right, so we have the Presto skillet, the pure beeswax, And if you're just starting, right? Let me know what I'm leaving out here. But we're just starting. We're just melting the wax today. That's all we're doing. Okay. Oh yeah, I talked about the kind of clothes you want to wear. You want to wear art studio type clothing, stuff that you know you're going to get wax on, but it's fine. Eventually, it does wash out of your clothes. What? Okay. Let's see. Paintbrushes. Now, your paintbrush, the type of paintbrush that you use matters. Okay. Now, I can't emphasize enough the trial and error that I've gone through over the years trying to find the perfect brush. And when I do find the perfect brush, I use it and use it and use it until it is worn down. And where's a good example? Yeah, worn down and it just can't be used anymore. Like this is still, nah, the brushes, the way they start and the way they end, I had a good one in here, but I think I even threw it away because I just wore it down so much. Some of these brushes will just straight up, over the years, look at this. Like the bristles literally fell apart, but I'm going to use this because I've had brushes just break because of the heat. And, sometimes you'll use a brush and you'll know the bristles are all wrong. The bristles are too soft. They can't hold the wax. Oh yeah, here, this brush. Look at this brush. I used this brush for years. It was such a good brush. I had to actually drive a nail in it because this thing was loose. But look what happens to the bristles. The bristles just start to wear down. This is what happens when you find a good brush. You just stick with it and paint until it can't paint any longer. That's what I do. Some of these brushes are kind of expensive. I've paid up to $100 for a brush before, but you can get a pretty inexpensive brush. Like the hog hair brushes you can get $10, $5, $3 for a really cheap little hog hair brush. Again, my recommendation, and for me, the brushes that I've found that work for me are natural bristles, not synthetic. Synthetic just reacts poorly to the heat, and the little bristles will start to furl. They'll fall out. I've never done well with any type of synthetic brush. In fact, I've thrown every synthetic brush away. I can't even give you an example of brushes that I've held over the years. I mean, I paid $75 for one of these brushes. It's wax. And this just doesn't paint right. Like, it's too much bristles for this. So you gotta it just I had a good connection on Amazon. I had a link to a brush set that was $18 for 5 brushes. They were natural animal fiber, sable or something like that, and they were a good deal. But I don't know what happened to that listing. So it's trial and error. Buy yourself a handful of brushes. Personally, as a business owner and as a professional artist making clothing for a living, I had a $200 budget a year, or a $200, for brush experimentation, just trying to find the right brush. Every year I'd go to the art supply store and I would look at the brushes in person, and it was a guessing game, guys, because sometimes the minute you sink the brush into the wax, you're like, oh, it's not going to work. Now, this one I just bought from blick.com, and it was on sale, I think, for $28. Yeah, and I did actually have to, I did have to actually add a nail into what do we call this thing? Can't remember what it's called, but there's words for it. There's fancy art words to describe all this stuff. Ouch. This one, a Kolinsky sable, and it's right out of the gate, started painting pretty decently. I did have to reinforce it, so that's a fact. This is a hog hair brush. Oh yeah, this is an old one. Yeah, I had to resort to old brushes because I just moved here recently, right? And in the move, I don't know, my brush is like suffered. I don't even know why. They didn't really, I'm not sure what it is. Art is sensitive. This is a sable. Ooh, yeah, see, I wore this down. Yeah, here we go. See that? Connoisseur. Hog. Let's see if I can get that. Is that reading? See if that's reading. There you go. Wore it down though, but still a good brush for little detail work. Once you get a brush in the beeswax, it's pretty much dedicated to batik at this point. You're not really going to have a lot of success getting the wax out of the bristles. I would just dedicate it to batik and not try to go back to using paints with it. Just make it a batik. When I'm done with the wax, and this is really important for you to know. When I'm done, let's see, get in here. When I'm done with the wax, guys, at night or whenever, I straight up unplug it. Okay? Yeah, this house I had to add speakers in the way. What's all this stuff? This is sandpaper. I need to use this for the John Tang tool sometimes because the tip gets like caught in the fabric. But we'll talk about the John Tang tool in another video. Oh yeah, and I also need to use like, this is a tie twist or some kind of wire, and I use this wire to like clear the spout out of the thing because I'm using unfiltered beeswax. So sometimes you just have to manually clean that beeswax out of the thing. Anyway, at night, when I'm done with the wax, I don't pay attention to this thing. This thing stays where it's at. I don't touch it. Once you find the right temperature, well, it's a navigation. You're just going to constantly be tweaking this within a few degrees, depending on how much wax is in your pan, what type of fabric you're painting on, what the weather is like outside. Is it winter? Is it summer? Are you in the mountains? Are you, in a cold climate? All of that really depends. See, this thing flickers on and off, but I just leave it. But if I notice that if I'm painting a lot, and the wax volume goes in that, like I wound up painting all the wax onto the items, I'll have to adjust the temperature accordingly, because with less wax, you're just constantly adjusting, just incrementally adjusting this to be the right temperature. And again, you guys, there's not a specific number. It's whatever whatever has the wax absorb into the fabric, just the perfect amount. See if I can show you what I'm talking about. This dress is still a little damp though. Not really quite ready. Let's find you don't want to paint on wet fabric. Let's find this one. The moon on this is dry. Now this has a layer of wax on it, and this is the set. I've dyed it. This has been dyed 2 times, and now we're gonna preserve this beautiful magenta purple by covering it in beeswax. So we'll do one little paintbrush stroke one paintbrush application. Not with that brush, it's too small. Let's use the new one. Okay. Now this is what we're looking for. This is how you know your temperature's right. Is watching it. Look how it's absorbed. Look how the fabric absorbs the wax. It's not foaming. Okay. It's just gliding on nicely, transferring from the brush into the fabric, and it is absorbed immediately. Do you see how that is? In fact, it's actually dripping through. I can feel it. It just dripped through on my hands. There's the inside. Yeah, look at that. That's the perfect absorption. All the fibers are now covered in wax, and it will now protect this color from the next layer of dye. So everything that the wax now is enclosing all the fibers, and It's now surrounding the fiber. The wax is now surrounding and protecting the fiber from the next layer of color. Isn't that cool? It's just the coolest. That's what, it's so fun. That's why batik is so fun. So we're gonna paint all the stars too. So today we covered 3 basic things, okay? This Presto skillet, the paint brushes, and the wax, the beeswax. Those are all 3 important things. Well, I did make a little mistake there, but that's fine. Batik loves mistakes. It loves me. I know you might not like your mistakes, but I'm telling you, with batik, it likes your mistakes. It's like, oh, ooh, a mistake. How fun. Let's do something with it. Batik is all about it. This is why it's fun. But some of it is a mental game. You kind of got to accept that. Oh, you know, it spilled or the wax is doing this crazy thing. You just got to go with it, guys. You got to go with it. And it's fun. It's fun. Because the results are always so amazing once it goes into the dye, and then once you take the wax out and you see this impression left behind, you're just like, wow, it's so neat. Okay, 3 basic things. Presto skillet, pure beeswax, paint brushes. We covered those. We're going all natural with the wax and all natural with the paintbrush bristles. And you're going to have to test those brush bristles, right? $200 a year is what I'd give myself. And I know I'd find at least 1 brush out of the however many brushes I was able to buy with $200. And sometimes it'd be 3. I'm not kidding. Brushes can be expensive. But the cost of a brush does not determine its success, especially with batik. And brush makers don't know. They're like, you're going to put it in a skillet of hot wax? Like, what are you talking about? Batik is such an understated art form. We're going to change that though, guys. Anyway, so it's a real hit or miss, trial and error. You know, what brush is going to... And now with all inflation and all the weirdness going on, and just inflation in general over the decades, companies are like, they're like compelled to make cheaper and cheaper products, unfortunately. So what's happening is that the higher end brushes tend to be more successful when it comes to tolerating the beeswax and the heat. But again, it's not guaranteed because these are 2 of the same brushes. Yeah, I think these are the same brushes. One survived, one did not. This one, the bristles came out on a live video accidentally. An actual workshop class. The bristles just start falling apart, right? I was teaching people how to make batiks and all the bristles fell out. That's embarrassing. Same company. Now the wood gets dark over the years, because that was one more thing I gotta tell you. When you're done, like I said, I unplug the skillet. I do not adjust the temperature. I leave the temperature exactly the same. And I leave the brushes in the skillet. Now this is a dedicated batik pot. Gosh, another thing you need to know before we wrap this up is that I already talked about having a protective floor covering. I already talked about wearing clothes that are prepared to get wax spilled on them. And one more thing I should let you know is your covering around your work area. I just use basic tin foil. It's awesome because when you're done, or when this is cooled down, you can literally peel the wax off the foil and put it right back in the wax. Or if the foil tears, or if there's any after wear and tear, you just replace the foil. You just have yourself a nice roll of foil. I just have a big old thing of tin foil right here on the ready at all times. Okay, because I'm ready. I'm ready for batik drama. All right. All right, so I covered 4 basic things. Foil, covering, beeswax, paint brushes, and skillet. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what we're gonna do slow, guys. Okay, it's gotta be slow. It's step by step. Let me know if this was helpful at all or not helpful, or if you need more. You will get more. More information's coming. You gotta watch all the videos. I'm gonna tell you everything, how to make batiks. and then you join the workshop, and then you make batiks. And there's a special sauce that comes with the workshop, but you can only appreciate that if you're in the workshop. So that's today's video. Let's put this back over here. And thanks for watching. I'm Victoria. This is my batik studio. Actually, like half my house is my batik studio. And this is a great intro into making batik clothing. So thanks for liking my video, guys. You guys, thank you so much for liking my video. And if this is good for sharing into like fiber art, you know, niche type groups or cultures or whatever, share it up. And thanks for subscribing, because I'm dedicated to batik, and that's what I'm talking about here. Batik, and a little bit about my personal life, but not really. Okay, I kind of stopped the vlogs, but you never know. It might just seep out, because I'm an artist, and it's hard to separate business from personal life, like business, right? Okay, it's art. Thanks for watching. All right, bye. Have a great day.